The Church of the Catfish met its true first obstacle yesterday. Bleed attempted to use Joel's mind-bending abilities to defeat FaZe Clan, but were stopped short, proving the Fish's power does not extend to Brazilian teams. So far, it's only managed to work against North American squads, so it's extremely fortuitous that today, DarkZero finds themselves staring that devil square in the face. And for some reason, he has a jersey. Is Joel truly the anti-NA curse it seems to be? Or can DarkZero expose the believers as frauds and the whole church comes crumbling down around them? That is the big question. I'm Caliber Jacob. I'm here with Foxe and Laxine to talk about North America facing off against the biggest nemesis North American Siege has seen since EG way back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Bleed, they have been smoking all of NA, quite literally. So that alone, now they're going to be pinned up against another NA team. Can they run away with it as they did the other previous two NA teams?
They might. I mean, it feels like such a rough game to watch because Bleed is so
nonchalant. Yeah, they might.
They might.
They might just roll them. Like
they might.
It's a possibility.
Bleed is just such an entertaining team to watch so far, especially with the amount of diverse takes that they've been bringing to the game. And then DZ is very slow. They're going to get that win, and if you're a DZ fan, you know, you're happy about the consistency. But
well,
it's just one round after the other.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the one thing about DZ is both these teams have beat the same teams, and in terms of DZ's case, they have only beaten NA teams so far in playoffs.
That's true. Yeah.
So it asks you to question: they couldn't beat a Brazilian team. Now can they beat an APAC team?
Logic would dictate maybe. But Bleed have only done they've done nothing but beat NA teams, and DarkZero have only beat NA teams at this point. So somewhere this pattern has
Someone's
to break.
bleeding.
Someone has to. Yeah. Okay. Someone had to say that.
Bleed might as well just come to NA. Just be the 10th team in North
They were
America.
talking about it too. They were like,
get
dude,
the bag.
wait, yeah. Should we just move to NA and just get rich? Why not? It's going to be an interesting one for sure, especially because they're doing really well. I think to be like top 7 or 8 in any category is already impressive. The fact that on both attack and defense, that's what they're sitting at right now is also really, really good for this team.
That's the biggest thing with DarkZero. Their defending rank is obviously the outlier, being 19th in defending. In my opinion, they have the playmaking ability, they have the playmaking players, but I think meta-wise, they might be still trying to play last season's version of the meta, whereas Bleed's playing, the next season's version of the meta.
Well, I like that you say that because the meta right now is very aggressive, and DZ's never really been a team throughout history, hasn't been an aggressive team. They're very structured, they've been very down to the books. So it's not a surprise to see the defense set that way because it does involve a lot of maybe retakes or moving around the map, playing a lot of refrag potential, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
So again, that's no surprise to me that DZ fails there, but on their attacks, that's where they're strong. That's where they communicate, that's where they get into the map, they pressure players, they move them out of position, they get into the map and take those rounds.
They really take their time, and that's where Bleed ended up getting caught off against FaZe. FaZe was the first slower team for them to be able to go against. Obviously, Cyber was really sticking it to them, but the rest of FaZe takes their time. The two NA teams that they've played were very aggressive, going for those plays, going for those picks. They weren't as successful as Cyber, but DZ is almost like the rest of FaZe. They are the slow, the methodical, the taking their time. So if Bleed doesn't pick it up on their attacks, it could run against the time, and no one's having fun in that position.
For sure.
I mean, I think that's an amazing point, and that alone, and that FaZe and DZ both do play that similar style of being more methodical, being more slow or paced, whereas clearly Bleed can handle that aggression, but can you handle that mind game of what's going to happen next? And is it going to be me? Is it going to be them? What's going to happen? How's the round going to play out?
I think for me, oh God, hang on. Show us audition for the Princess Bride the rest instead. I've been warning the production has a whole bunch of these bits that we're just going to throw out about the fish at some point or another. But I think if you're DarkZero, you're going to look at the fact that they are really good on attack. I remember when Min said before the stage started, we don't want to be a snail-paced DZ, and we're trying to correct that mistake. It looks like, hey, congratulations, you've at least accomplished that part of the goal. But you look at that defensive stat, you're doing worse than every other team currently in Swiss and down to even play-in level defenses.
But to counter that is DZ has beaten M80 and Sonics as of recently, two very aggressive teams. So if Bleed's going to play that aggressive playstyle, well, they've been conquering aggressive playstyle these past 2 games. So I mean, that alone, DZ is looking stronger in that regard.
I love how we're just looking for all of the ways that, hey, we know Bleed is the stronger team right now, and they've got the power behind them. It's like we're just looking for the ways that DZ
Hold on
can
now.
win.
Whoa. Slow your roll there, partner.
We're only talking about DZ right now, guys. Like, come on.
Well, that's it.
Well, I did talk about Bleed. I said they beat the same team, sir. Maybe not gone into a little bit of depth that I could have, but no, Bleed's an extremely strong team. I am confident. They've made it this far. I have no doubt that they can run away with the game. It just comes down to the mid-round adaptations. How are they going to play against a slower play style? Does that then force DZ into their hand? Like, what does that look like?
Well, let's see how much of that is encapsulated in what the Veto itself looks like, because I feel like wherever we end up going to is going to dictate exactly whether that play style is effect or not. This is a Kafe pick, and DZ chose between that or Bank. Guys, what are we thinking?
Both consistent DZ maps. Honestly, them banning out Bank is a little surprising, but it is a bigger map, allowing Bleed that more flexibility. Yep. They obviously are comfortable. They have a recent VOD against FaZe, so it is surprising to see that they banned Bank, but Kafe is not one of APAC's strongest maps. Yesterday, Scars was actually eliminated by SSG on Kafe.
Yep.
We might see, an NA team knocking down another APAC team on Kafe. There's not a lot of individuality that you can do on that map. There's not a lot of openings. It's a lot of staircases, and it's very linear. On the flip side of things, DZ can really take their time to deny those plants. There's a lot of Goyo we've seen on the map, a lot of smoke, and a lot of shield play. Monty is one of the biggest attacking operators that can get through the map and get into those difficult plant spots. And Bleed's answers usually are throwing bodies at it, not really relying on utility as much.
But that's where you got to think, though, with that aggressive playstyle that Bleed is bringing. Kafe is such, like you said, a linear map. There's not a lot of passage through, and it's very tight angle. So if Bleed is stopping them at that entry point, what does that look like for DZ? Because as we know, DZ does tend to fault if you do throw a wrench in their setup. Then they do tend to default and try to figure out what's the next step. And in that time of doing that, that does take a lot of time away from the round. And if then another kill goes in the favor of Bleed, then it just kind of typically falls apart. So does that mean DZ then speeds up their process, or does it just still stay the same thing and they try to just counter out whatever Bleed's going to throw at them?
I was going to say, I love how we're talking about this only in rhetorical questions, as if, oh, hey, we don't have the answers quite yet. We're about to find out in game.
I just think it's going to, I mean, because both these teams have been beating each other's teams that they've been both beating. I mean, it's going to come down to who's, I mean, it's similar play styles on both ends of what they've been beating and going up against. So it just comes down to what it's going to look like.
All right, well, let's get this bad boy underway. Who's going to main stage? Is it Bleed or is it DarkZero? I think that TriCast is going to have a lot of fun with this bad boy.
Yes, Jacob. Yes, we will. Thank you very much for joining in on the handle.
You're welcome.
I did, yeah. It's like a little reverse echo. There's like a wave that goes around that way, off screen, back on the other side, then back across. You nailed it. Love it. Kafe coming up, last best of one of the whole competition as well, Tim.
It is, yeah, this is it. After this matchup, everything is pure jeopardy. Best of threes, loser goes out of the tournament. So this is the last one with the high stakes of a spot on the main stage. And that is what these two are going to be playing for. Bleed and DarkZero, they've both had ups and downs in the tournaments. They've both had, great results and some that you look at and think, maybe they could have done a little bit better. But overall, they both come in here with a real shot at taking that spot on the main stage.
Come on then, Titus, give us your view of these two teams. What's your perspective?
It's going to be a close game. This might actually be our first overtime, to be honest, I think. Cafe's an interesting map. DZ traditionally like the map. They're pretty good at it, especially their executes. Very sort of split, very diverse is what they have in terms of a strategy pool with it. Bleed, I'm curious that they left it open, especially considering how last time I saw them play it, which was back I think in like SEA, they're so slow with it and they're still quite old-fashioned with lots of piano clears and just trying to do things kind of like 2021 style, whereas DZ are a bit more into the meta, but maybe what they spotted is just a tempo. Pretty default bans coming out so far. Dokkaebi, no real surprise from DZ, they don't like facing that. Ying from Bleed makes sense as well. DZ love the operator. Kater just listed.
He's just one. He's already said have fun or don't.
Yeah. The Azami ban, okay, so we're likely to see, as long as Mira doesn't get banned out, lots of Mira and Cade here. It's going to be a bit more of a passive, little bit execute-based Kafe, so less aggressive, or potentially retake heavy. And then the Valkyrie, okay, so the Valkyrie ban means that retake's going to be a bit harder. So yeah, I would suspect to see lots of Mira, lots of Cade being played, maybe a bit of Solace as well from both sides as they like it, just for some flanks, but you'll see sort of like more sort of static setups being put into place.
All right, let's see if that turns out to be the case. Going to start things off in Mining Room. I'm curious your thoughts on this as well. We've seen a bit of a drop in reading's popularity, and mining has kind of become that third site. Why do you think that is?
There's a really good execute you can do on reading, which a lot of teams have started taking. It's kind of like reverting back to the old ways. Once you've got top floor control, just your pillars execute, and teams have learned as attackers just how easy it is just to get that done. And as a defending team, there's only a couple of reactions you can do. Predominantly, all of them are either get your smoke down or Goyo and then deny the door, or retake. So it's very easy to predict. Whereas mining, there's still a bit more to it, especially as it's so hard to actually prevent the retake at times. Either through the 90 hallway, the pillars, and you can just play it 3 styles. You can either play mega heavy inside a piano and fight for that. You can fall back if you want to and just play for retakes downstairs in the basement. Or you can just play a genuine sort of plant denial game. You can have C4s below, you can have info on site, which just makes it hard. I think what you're going to see here from Bleed is a little bit of a fallback game, loot, and maybe like a flank as well from Turd with the Solace. So I suspect they're going to play this quite a passive round to start with.
Let's get things underway then. We've got Bleed, we've got DarkZero, they're both in the server. We've got potentially 12 or who knows, even maybe more rounds ahead of us to decide which one of these will be heading to the main stage, which will be heading to a round, day 5 knockout game to decide their fate. We've got Turd on Solace all the way down in the bottom floor, going to be hiding away in kitchen for the time being. Can be one of those big impact players as we know, so this is going to be testing DarkZero's information game to begin with from the off, really. Make sure that they locate him and that he doesn't come to surprise them in the late round.
Nothing crazy coming out of DC so far. Pretty straightforward, pretty standard. They're going to clear across the map. They're going to try and pressure top floor. As expected from Bleed, as I said, it's going to passive hold. They got the 2 mirror windows quite far back. They're not looking to sort of play inside the bathroom. And DZ are just going to go through their steps now. It's the same thing as always. We all know them. They're like the NAVP, we could call them. And it's just step-by-step methodical gameplay. And as we suspect, there's the fallback as predicted. And you got Turd in the basement. So there'll be at some point either a retake top floor or they're just going to play for a flanks in the basement.
Maybe not suspecting this C4 to come out. They've seen 2 players drop down through this hatch. Maybe assume that no one is down there. You can see the drone just rolling around above, but Reap so far not sniffed out in here. The patience of a saint as well to hold the C4 for this long.
It's Rice that's on the rappel and he's just waiting for that little bit of movement. Rice is droning for the time being, but here he goes as he shifts up. Now is Reap's time, but he's going to miss his opportunity as Rice manages to get himself safely up to the rooftop. Maybe never sent himself close enough to that window. It would have been a close one had the Nitro stuck to the frame, I guess. But NJR is going to continue holding White Corridor, so there's not going to be any sort of danger onto Canadian inside of Piano for the time being as he opens up that hatch and is joined by Rice, and they can start working on towards site.
Next step here is clearing out Hoven inside of the green train. The question will be, can he get a pick or can he waste, how much time can he waste? He's already got it down to a minute and he's going to just keep fumbling around the bomb site. Now, it's a really difficult position. It's actually quite technical and people don't realize that. To be able to survive and stay alive when you have absolutely nothing actually going for you and the attackers can open everything up. And there you go, he goes down. 45 seconds. Still have the Solace, still have the potential to retake up White Stairs. NJR is in his own little world holding on to that control.
You know, DZ, one of the more patient teams is the word that Troy used in the team comms of the day, as we heard. Others would say slow, but time will tell us whether or not it pays off in this round. So far, the answer is no. They may have got the entry, but they have absolutely crumbled. A double kill for Reaps inside of red, down to just 2 left standing with 20 seconds on the clock. Both Gavetti and NGR are going to have to force something here. They bring it back to a 2 versus 2, but the trade is there from Aspie. Good team play coming out of Bleed. A very comfortable first round.
As suspected, as I predicted, passive round, full back, flank in the basement. There you go. Perfect siege right there.
Turd picking up that final kill as well. The job was pretty much done at that point, but he was always that lingering threat on red stairs. If things didn't quite go as they had, a couple of those gunfights maybe don't go in Bleed's direction, there is still a good chance that Turd steps up and gets himself a couple of big kills on red stairs. So really well played from Bleed, setting out their stall for what could be a successful defensive half if that continues.
What I'd be really curious to know is where the vertical was done there, because Reaps, you could see, was playing in that reading 90 hallway for so long at that round, and he never got cleared, which is one of the basic positions you're meant to remove. And then also the rest of the actual positions from the team. So there you go, you can see he actually wins a gunfight that honestly you shouldn't be winning as a defender, and that's why he actually was able to keep control of that. So massive play for him, retake under the vertical, win his one, and then the rest of the team just managed to sort of play out their positions perfectly. And I think the energy there from Bleed shows they're a bit more up for it than GK were earlier.
Absolutely, I was going to remark as well, but you might not see it during the operator select phase, but Bleed have got all their player cards set to the DarkZero backgrounds. A nice little touch there, nice little lean in towards their opponents there, showing them the respect they deserve. And so far, it started them strong at that 1-0 as mentioned. Now we'll head up to Tim's least favourite site in the entire game. It's Bar and Cocktail on Kafe.
Well, I think it might have been, was it you, Titan, who messaged me? No, I don't think it was actually. In fact, no, it wasn't. It was one of the other teams. When I've sort of spent a lot of my time saying that I really don't like this top floor Titan, now it was the primary choice on Kafe
Tim,
for so long.
Site you've never said before.
I know, I've never mentioned it. It was the primary choice on Kafe for so long, but the defender win rate barely ever got out of the 40%. It was, it was a site that teams did very well attacking onto, and I think is still fairly the case. So yeah, it's always been one that I've pushed to avoid really. I think even a kitchen in the 2 mid-floor sites, and just use this if you have to sometimes.
I mean, what you'll find with basically every single Kafe bomb site, except for kitchen, is it is attacker favored. It should be. Yeah. I mean, even back in the day when I was coaching on Team Secret back in 2021, it was still a mega attack. I found it to be an attacker favored map, and the reason for it, fundamentally, it's 3 bomb sites. All the non-basement bomb sites easy for attackers because you can rinse and repeat very similar attacks, and you can get great success out of it. DZ here setting up a lot of positions on the east side. They'll pressure a little bit on the skylight as well. And what you're going to see here is some basic heaven execute. That's all it's going to be. They're just going to look to put pressure on from the skylight, try to clear this player out of C1. And again, Hoven, the man, the myth, the legend, the absolute superstar for Bleed so far this event. He's going to have to play his suicide position. Well, and he's on fire.
He's playing the floor as lava, but the lava apparently cannot burn him.
Don't move!
Just stay!
Don't move!
The second nade does follow on through. He is put on his backside. Not taken out just yet. I wonder if at this point DarkZero know it. Surely a drone has rolled on through and given that information away.
That's it. They may or may not, but there'll come a point where they just take the risk. If the shots stop, then they'll think that he's not there. Turd does manage to pick up Canadian, so that's a great start for Bleed once again. Just playing from inside of the washroom there. Nice long angle through towards Cocktail, and that's going to be another position that they need to deal with realistically if they want to push for the take from that side.
Small issue now with losing the skylight player. You can see they're having to move the player off of the heaven window so they can put him back onto piano to control that. The idea here would have been Canadian was able to drop, Pamba would be able to cover that cross, or pressure anybody inside of Cigar, and now they're having to rotate positions, losing that pick. It's so big what losing one guy. Hoven still hasn't been recovered, he's about to bleed out. The 4v4, they dropped the skylight. Piano control still had hit by Gaveni. Rice is not peeking. He's playing it super passive. And there we go. Now they're into the bomb site. Pamba goes for one. He's going for the freezer guy. Can he get him as well? Mentalist, can he get the kill? He does. That's a huge kill as it goes into a 2v2. Rice repels in now.
Looking around towards the side as well. He knows that there's a man around the corner. They both do. I mean, Asfi was holding off on towards this angle. All he's got now is just him left against 2. Got to win 2 separate 1v1s. DarkZero, they play a perfect 2v1. Sure, they might lose one at the very end, but they secure that final kill and take the round.
Difficult position for Assi there at the end of the round. I think, you look at it, you say, does he need to peek? Does he not? There's no right answer. He goes forward, tries to get aggressive, knows there's one inside a Cocktail, but ultimately walks into a crossfire, but equally, he's going to get peeked at the top of White Stairs anyway. He can't run away because the likelihood is that diffuser is then just going to get planted. So, difficult one for him. DarkZero, a good attack. They managed to lock it down.
It was good from DZ. They didn't take too long to get themselves in position. Yes, they're still slow at executing. That's just their classic style. But they made sure that the moment that they lost Canadian on Skylight, they moved into the next position. And I'm pretty sure Gavin gets the kill onto Reaps, which is massive for them. Because if they doesn't get that kill into Piano, then they're going to really, really struggle to win the round.
Well, Reaps found the kill first, I believe, inside of Piano, but it was the trade that came through after that was the one worth noting. Yeah, he was put quite low by it, but he did win the gunfight.
Yeah.
And then it was the trade that came through after. So good coverage from DZ there, playing off the back of each of these. Saw it all the way down to the very final kill. Brings things up to 1-1. Nice and even between these two teams to start as we head down to the ground floor site. It's going to be Kitchen to settle things out in round 3.
Something you might not have just seen is, you could just, the bottom right of your screen, it was only fleeting. Turd has opened up a couple of peak holes in that White Stairs door as well, just shot a few bullets through and just given himself a line of sight and reinforced the garage door. So potentially going to see some aggression around that area, but he is on the warden. They don't want to be throwing that operator away sort of too easily. He's going to be trying to hold on to VIP, and such a key area we know if they do go for that White Stairs push. But with the Monty, I would expect, and with the droning that's happening, I'd expect that DarkZero are likely going to try and just brute force through Bakery here.
Yeah, I mean, they've given up Bakery walls. They don't play any walls now except for a mute, and Thatcher's on the board as well. It's a very strange decision from Bleed. They're looking to control above, obviously, and their win condition is the vertical. But Hoven again, the man, the myth, the legend, he has to be the hero for this. I actually do. I really do. Former player of mine. Absolutely love him. And what's going to be interesting here between him and Reaps, and you notice as well, Reaps is playing the shotgun on the Solace. So clearing that air jab now gives his team the retake to be able to retake Wedding or Small, how you want, and they have the 2 guys above as well. So when DZ go for execute, that's when you're going to see Bleed make their move. Until then, all it's about is just trying to stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive. Don't do anything silly.
Already you can see how Turf made a move over as well from playing inside of VIP to sort of join his team out towards this west side of the map, as every single DZ player is working their way in through Big Bakery and through Small Bakery. Homer's above. If he gets this kill, that could have been absolutely huge. Still sees the beat. Canadian is down to a slither of HP. That was almost a round ender right there.
The important point about that is Canadian is now within impact nade sort of range in terms of damage. He is going to have an opportunity to plant inside of that smoke, but they know exactly where it is. Great use of the yokai there, but Canadian, you feel he's just a second away from death, and there it comes. Didn't take much at all. Diffuser down cold. Well defended from Bleed.
Well done from Aspie there to get that kill off the Echo Drone stun. It was so important they got that, because they don't, it's so, you can't actually deny that from the vertical with the way that Canadian was planting. But the Monty as well, he couldn't survive for so much. And now, DZ are locked out. It's what can you do? But this is a problem that Bleed had yesterday at times. When they get into the advantage, they give it away, and they've been doing it throughout the entire tournament. Now the question is, do they have the discipline in the 5v3? Yes. Reaps gets the 5v2, and that should be the round locked out.
I mean, Reaps doesn't lose those. It's Reaps for the love of God. Just an easy dome as the man comes vaulting through, locked into the vault animation. It's an easy as pie to pick up off the back of it. Really, DarkZero have tried this extreme direct-to-site style approach here, and they have been countered. They have been shut down. Great use of the vertical coming out from Bleed. 2-1.
It was a nice concept from DZ. Take first floor, take bakery, they give us all the control. You got 2 big problems though. Number 1, you're not touching the guys upstairs. Hoban and Reaps never got pressured at any single point. I don't think the window was even open for them, so they can just do whatever they want. They can step out a picnic, they can build a house in there before they have to be prepared for DZ to do anything. And then on top of that as well, the entire win condition is on Canadian, basically being able to tank all the way through to get into that corner. Now, I get why that might work, but if you look at the setup that they had, Solace, Mute, can play the vertical, have the Echo as well, they got everything they need.
Joel was an extra on Finding Nemo, in case you didn't know.
There we have it.
That's what I saw.
I love to see that Joel is sporting a Bleed jersey today.
Yeah,
that
honestly,
absolutely
mate,
made my day when I saw that.
The thing is, in case you don't know, is just in case one of Bleed starts feeling a bit under the weather, he's actually ready to step in at any time.
I believe so.
They've had it sanctioned by the admins that he can actually just step into their seat at any point he chooses.
That's great.
That's the kind of power that Joel carries. He's just such an influential, nice guy.
I think that's a big part of their success then, why they've seen it in Phase 2. He's just there. He's able to give that half a player extra.
I've heard that every time Joel has played Siege, he's actually 1v5 ace clutched. That's the only round. That's
every single round?
Any round that he has played.
Oh, no way.
Just waits for everybody else to die, and then just 1v5 ace clutch.
I've heard that he doesn't actually need an org either, because the donations just fly through thick and fast. Like, don't need money for anyone else. He's got it sorted.
What a guy. What a fish.
Yes.
Well, things are going swimmingly so far for Bleed on the defence, as they are 2-1 up here and looking good on the first couple of sites. DarkZero able to get 1 win up on that top floor, but we did speak about how it is generally attacker favoured as a site.
I can't think about how delighted Tim was that DZ managed to win on the top floor.
Proving my point. Stop going there, defenders.
What I like from Bleed here is they've done a full rotation, all 4 bomb sites. They're trying to keep DZ guessing. They realise that DZ will be smart enough to be able to counter and adapt in the game to be able to change up per bomb site. So what they're doing is, okay, right, we might not have a massive strap hook that we can use to be able to confuse teams, but what we will do is we'll keep you having to guess every single bomb site, so you can't get the feel for it. There's a massive difference between doing prep and actually getting the feel in the round.
Reaps again. He's dying to make this angle work. This time around, admittedly, there aren't 2 players to come flying on through from his own team from upstairs to give the impression that everyone has backed away.
Rice is in a really bad pause there, because if the guy had C4'd there, he'd have been dead. Like, that's not how you sit on that window, ladies and gentlemen, just for reference.
Reaps generally a little bit sharper on the shots, letting the drone get away from him there. We've got 3 of DarkZero stacked up on this east side at the minute, but yet to actually get themselves inside of the map to start that top floor clearance and forget about it. Oven, he's going to take NJR down with a nitro.
Absolutely huge kill. Again, that's the player holding. That's the flashbangs. That's your Nomad gone. There's also one of the big impact 3 for DZ gone in NJR. Now, can they get any pick? Oh, look what Bleed have done. They've given up the top floor. They know it's a bit early, but they know how slow DZ can be. They don't care. And now they'll play for the retake. They'll play for the flanks.
Just give him the top floor at this point, because last time round, Hoban really tried to stick it and got punished for it. Pamba almost losing his life through the floor as well, taken down to just half of it. And that was with the 2 C4s coming out early. You know, 2 C4s, 1 kill. Not going to complain too much off the back of that. A couple of impacts still to play behind. It's kind of a blessing for DarkZero that they've got the Finker on side here to juice Pamba back up.
I'm interested to see what Turd does for the remainder of the round. He's been playing that lurking role, keeping himself away from the action, but so far it has just kept him out of the game a little bit. You know, we'd like to see him maybe time it a little bit better, get a bit more heavily involved and get a couple of kills.
He'll do one of two things. He'll either come up round stairs late round if they see that Fritz going for a pillars drop, or if he's smart, and I think is what he's actually going to aim to do, he's going to go up to red stairs. He's going to wait, and even if he gets pressured there, oh, this could be a big kill here from Rice. If he can get this kill onto Reaps, oh no, he tanks an aid.
Tanks enough, but then finally gets pushed on. Pamba taking his spot here, stepping into Reap's grave, quite literally. One more round the corner, but that's the play you were on about, Titan. Turd comes up round, starts shutting this one down, but he's got to get the last one. The plant going down, finds Canadian. 10 seconds left, they've got to scatter him.
And as I predicted, he had one of two choices. He realized at the last minute it's a pillars-based execute. And as I said, if you go up brown stairs, you can make the difference and win the round.
Perfectly timed, perfectly timed. Great play from Turd. Again, you know, as I said, he's done that for a couple of rounds and it hasn't necessarily been that effective. He's been in a position to have impact, but hasn't always needed to. But really, I look at that as a mistake on DarkZero's part, because I'm like, I kind of feel like, how much warning do you need? He's been lurking, he's been keeping himself off the radar a couple of rounds in a row, and you still haven't gone in and punished him for it in that round, and he's come back to bite you.
Interesting that it's a DZ timeout already at 3-1. Curious to see if they're saying anything big here, especially for Mentalisk as well.
Can we get info?
Info?
They didn't play in C5 windows, they just opened it. Me and Aspi.
Someone swapped with me inside. Last round, I can see for the white.
That isn't DZ talking, by the way.
No, that's Hoban speaking.
Okay. Does someone bring info for custom? I can't. I don't want to get out cash. Pick up.
A few fed up faces almost on the DZ side, actually.
Yeah, they don't look that happy, to be honest, and I'm not surprised. They played 3 rounds, they haven't looked great, and even on the round that they won, it was mega close. It came down to a 2v2 and a 1v2 in the end that Aspi couldn't quite win out. It's interesting. They know that they want to bring info. They brought double info now with 2 BPs, so that's what Hoban was asking for. I'm going to struggle to play sight, but I need info as well so that we can C4, and that's what they've done, and that's the small tweak that they're going to make for this round.
What a nitro that was from Hoban. Finding NJR on that upside down rappel. I don't know if the air jabs had all been deployed at that point or whether utility was lost as well, but still just a great opener.
Such a small little step from Turd there as well, to not go pushing aggressively close to the door, actually backs away and plays against the banister to try and get the widest berth he can on the door to stop the vertical angle and tagging him out. Now, he took a few shots to the legs, but not enough to completely finish him off, and that's how he managed to find Canadian. Small details, but beautiful stuff to win the round.
Now, this is where I'm a little afraid for Bleed. They've made the small adjustment with the info, but it's the same strat they're going to run back to back. And this is what I meant earlier. Some of these teams, especially Maypac, teams like MENA, they don't have like this massive strat book that you see from teams like myself, like from G2, for example, or FaZe.
Like myself, my massive strat book.
And where...
Oh, Timothy, have you seen my strat book? It's absolutely massive.
Where you can just sit there and you can just whip out another one and another one, another one. Every day you just come with something new. And this is a small problem, especially when it comes to veteran teams like DZ. DZ have gone for the Hail Mary, is the only way I like to put it, and this is sort of Canadians. When everything is going wrong, I don't feel like I can do anything, or we don't feel like we can do anything right. Monty time! And hello, Kafe Monty. That always makes it interesting, it always makes it different. It's so annoying to play. Problem. They're doing it against a team that's falling back. So what? You would normally do this against a team that you can't get into the map, where you can't get the pressure in, or where on the late round, you're getting shut down. Yeah, they're getting shut down in the late round, but not because they haven't got the time. They just can't set up properly. They don't know what to do.
This is it. They brought the Monty along twice and sort of tried to directly execute on the Monty, and Bleed have dealt with it both times. So, you know, even that sort of Hail Mary, even that sort of roll of the dice in thinking, let's just bring the Monty and try and sort of, not necessarily cheese a couple of rounds, but let's try and brute force a couple of rounds, is not working for them at the minute. Rice has got the information. This should be a clean nade. There you go. Absolutely beautiful team play from DarkZero.
Big opening pick there, and now what this should give them is top floor control. They also lose a C4, do Bleed. Hoven is probably kicking himself right now because he said, damn, I don't want to play sight this time. And he's gone upstairs and he's gone and died. And
he asked for the cameras and everything.
He asked for everything and he's done nothing.
Egg on your face, my friend.
Precisely. What's going to be important now? Again, Turdster in the basement. Huge, huge, huge impact potentially from him. And then also it's going to be about, can Reaps retake that Veto once more? If I was Rice, if I lose that gunfight again, I'm asking to change the spot after this map.
More to do for sure. I mean, they've got that starting entry point, but it's about the time. And again, DZ played his patient game. We hear them talking about it all the time, but you're finding yourself stung in the dying seconds, as we saw coming out of Turd in the previous round. This could very well come back to bite them.
It's crazy. Again, DC just lose the time so quickly, and you see it, and it's like, it's so slow. Yes, they're doing the setup, but it's not fast, it's not rapid, it's nothing sort of like crazy and sort of like mega extreme in terms of the pressure they're creating. But the time, again, we're into the final 30. For a bomb site like mining, this is a huge part of the win condition. Reeks is sitting under the vertical. Somebody kill him, please!
He goes to get down at least onto NGR before finally getting taken out by Pamba, and NGR is back up thanks to the Finker, who goes down just a second later.
3 versus 3 though, as Asu manages to pick up Rice, and here comes Turdster. They haven't dealt with him yet, again, and he's able to hit them on the flying Kafe with a second in the round. It's 3 versus 1. It's over as NJR drops down. Bleed, they take themselves another round here, and they are starting to run away with things on Kafe, and an inability to deal with players like Turdster on the roam is really starting to hurt DarkZero.
It's another rinse and repeat. Turdster's on the flank. He did this last round. DZ, hello, how are you getting surprised by this?
He's a nomad.
Yeah.
Why is he hitting you on the flank?
Exactly. And then on top of that as well, they're sitting under the Reaps was under the vertical for a minute. He's in pillars. It's crazy.
What tickled me was they had 8 drones up as well. Like, there is almost no excuse at that point, even with a Solus on the board, to not have some kind of flank watch on the go. But Turd has just been the gremlin coming out of the basement is the only way you can describe him. He spent so much of this game down on the ground floor and then just striking when DarkZero looked for the late round. But again, that's playing into DZ's strategy. Again, they use the word patience, kind of we call them slow. It really doesn't matter what word you use. Either way, it is so easy to abuse when they get to the last 20, 15 seconds or so and someone's coming up with a flank that DZ just are not prepared for.
Thank heavens Canadian has switched off the monitor because it's not working. He's gone to the Twitch. They're bringing more of a flexible lineup here where they can put pressure on different points of the map. They're going to look for a gap, I suppose, I would assume, on the downstairs floor. And they're going to try and find a way in. They're now playing a bit more split siege. They're playing a little bit more basic. They're just looking to try and apply pressure and find where they can get an opening. Now, the question, is it too little, too late?
That's it. It's already really, more than Bleed would have necessarily looked for in the defensive half. Like you say, attackers, we tend to see having a good time a bit on Kafe. If you come away as a defender with a 3-3 half, you're kind of happy with that. You get your 4-2 second half, and, things are good. Bleed are already at 4. They could be on a 5-1 defensive half here, looking at them moving onto the attack. It is big for them. Canadian, for the time being, he's going to be just having a little roam around sight on the drone, seeing what he can see, feeding back the setup. Mentalist, he deploys that shield late, but once he's got an idea of where the push is likely to come from based on where has the drone come from.
I like this a little bit from Bleed. Again, it's a small adaptation, and again, it's Hoven that's making one of the big changes along with Mentalist, and it's just a case of, I'm going to drop the mute, I'm going to bring a smoke, because if they do go for the same plant, I can gas the player in that corner. Obviously they're not, and there we go, Pamba with a big first pick onto Reaps. That's one of the players upstairs that's sort of floating around the red stairs. Oh no, he went down wide. That's interesting.
Ooh. And catching him out on the drone was the #1 there, I think, as well. Just so far away, I sat at the bottom of Brown that it was an easy pick off the back of it. But there's still players hanging around the area. You've still got Turd sat inside of VIP. Obviously not a C4 on side, playing behind the shield more than anything else. And really, without the Monty on side, it would make something like a freeze to drop that little bit more risky. It's easy to spray down anyone who hasn't got a shield in front of their face. So it's one that DZ are going to have to be mindful of. They may have to push in to that side of the map, even if right now it's all about Bakery.
At this point, DZ have control of so much of what they want. They can pressure the backside, they can lock those players in. They've got Bakery control, they've got the walls open. Yes, Asfi's on the power position side of Coat. He's going to have to be the win condition right now for Bleed to deny those players on the front side. The diffuser will probably rotate over towards Bakery side, it would not surprise me. What Bleed need to do, they need to find somewhere where they can alleviate pressure. NJR getting tagged up a little bit. Hoven going back over to the vertical. He's going to be a big pick. Is he going to drop down? Mentalist killing Gavin though. NJR down to 1 HP, the run out.
50 seconds left to go then, and Hoven is still loose up on the top floor. They did force him away from White with the bees from Grim, but he could still be a danger in the round. Rice has a really nice angle here though, cutting sight in half at the minute, and that's going to make it very difficult for Bleed to move around, but Mentalist is quite happy to just sit in behind his shield. That's a huge fight for Canadian to win, hitting Turdster on the reverse angle, and that gives DarkZero everything they need. It's 4 versus 2. Mentalist gets 1, can't find a second, as it is now 3 versus 1. NJR down though, Canadian down as well. It's a 1v1.
The juice comes in though, they get back up just in time, so he's back on his feet here. But what more can they do? They've got to win this out.
No.
Just about. Pamba gets away with it. That looks so dicey for a couple of seconds for DarkZero.
Hoven, the legend, nearly came up big again for his team this event, but not quite.
Smoke.
DZ are playing with fire. Somehow, even with all the control available to them, even winning gunfights they shouldn't be winning, they're making it look so tough. How do you make a game look this hard? I don't actually understand.
I would say part of it is Kafe. I mean, with the team being this slow, with how much you have to do and trying to vertically clear the entire map, obviously this round they didn't bother with that. They went more laterally and worried about trying to clear out the east side of things, getting control of VIP. Also worried a little bit about trying to make the west side work. There was lots of kind of factors all playing in together, and it feels like even with the movement that we saw at Hoven, there's just so much going on to keep them having to keep asking questions and always be trying to adapt to the movements coming out of the other side. Great movement by Bleed, but DarkZero at least get that second round in the first half.
Yeah, it is that round that I spoke about. Getting round 6 when you're the one trailing, when you're trying to start the comeback trail, is always an important one. DarkZero might just be able to carry a bit of momentum, but for me, round 7 could be a pivotal round here. It's a huge difference between 5-2 and 4-3, and that is exactly what the outcome of this will determine. If Bleed are able to pick up their first attack onto mine in here, it puts DarkZero massively on the back foot, because not only is the scoreline significant, but also the fact that Bleed are coming in and taking away that primary site and saying, you know what, Kafe might not have been attacker-sided for you, but it is going to be for us. So DarkZero, they've got to dig deep, they've got to get themselves nice and secure here, they've got to win this first defense.
What's kind of interesting from DZ, opposed to how Bleed were playing it, they're playing it so much more aggressive. You can see there with their setup inside of B2 to hold on to Piano. They want to fight Bleed on the entry points. Now, normally that works well against a team that they don't believe has any coordination, a team that struggles. They've probably done their research, and as I said before, as we were loading into the map, Bleed traditionally do a lot of heavy piano takes. So this could be counter game. This could be a slight tweak, or this could be a choice in strat selection for them to be able to counter this. The problem I see, you've got so many players on Bleed. Every player is warm. They are hitting shots. Yes, Hoban is the weakest player on 3 and 5, but even that, it's not bad. It's not like we saw earlier with GK and Turd. Turd is finally turning up for his team at this event.
It depends whether or not he can do the same on the attacking side, of course. On the side swap, things can change drastically. Canadian had a appalling first half, really. Sure, a lot of it spent as the Monty, but he has been a big factor for these guys on their own this tournament. Here he gets to play on the Solus, gets to kind of do his own thing running around on that second floor. He could strike big, assuming that Bleed don't fully deal with him early in the round.
Bleed still sort of posturing at the minute, haven't got themselves inside of the map. Mentalist is going to be opening up that cocktail balcony and just looking to apply pressure to the east side, but it's going to be Canadian that picks up the first one, and that's going to be Hoven taken down with a headshot. Canadian then scurries his way back to site. He's happy with what he's got. He's going to move himself away, but top floor control is slowly being gained. Bleed pretty confident in the position up there now, just watching for any push from pillars or any threat from below. The Ram gadget just going out and absolutely shredding those floorboards, giving them all the angles into sight that they could ever want.
You can tell a little bit here that the Bleed info game is not quite what it is for DC. They haven't got a top floor control as quickly, and even with seeing the 2 hatches reinforced, they weren't quite sort of like fast enough, just saying, right, they're going to take this. They doubted themselves a bit, and that time that they've lost might be a deciding factor again.
Still, with the time that they do have, 45 seconds, it feels sort of on pace for what we saw coming out of DZ. All these verticals opened up, but not really much being left upstairs to push for this one. They're going hard down red stairs here by the looks of it, sledging in towards the wall, and might just feel like a hit is the play.
This is super smart. They've decided, actually, we're not going to do the same mistake DZ made. We can't clear out Fireplace. We're not going to try and risk it. We're going to go in through the bottom of red, and planting on that position. He cannot see him, except for if he gets the angle with the pillar.
Can't get away with it.
No, he can't.
Might get
and
away
he's going to get the bomb down.
This one,
and this is so strong now. It's such a strong post plant.
It's such a smash and grab to try and get out of this one. Mentalist finds Rice as well. Falling by the wayside piece by piece. 2 quick kills flying the way of Bleed. As I said, a real smash and grab operation. DZ just completely engineered to look towards the other side of the map, but it turned out to be one hell of a bait by the Bleed side. And NJR's got it all to do with only about 10 seconds still to play with. Won't be able to find his kill. The crossfire comes on through. Bleed up to 5 rounds.
What is so excellent there, as I said, the ability from Bleed to not go for the hatch drop. They recognized that was not a clear win condition. Don't do that. You saw NJR posted up behind the bomb. They had other guys in the reading 90 hallway. They say, no, what we're going to do, we're going to play the vertical properly, and notice how Reaps actually wins his gunfights compared to Rice. And on top of that as well, it's coming down the red stairs. They're saying, right, this is the easy condition. They have a Solace below. We know this probably. We know they've got to have something downstairs. It's the way that DZ loves to play the bomb site. Let's go onto the hard floor, get this bomb down, and now let's see what DZ can do. And the answer was absolutely bloody nothing.
Looking a little bit dicey now, Tim, I think.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Bleed, they might have the Snorlax mascot behind them, but there's certainly no snoozing going on. They are looking alive, like you say, in that round, just, you know, seeing the opportunity, getting into the space and taking it, and just absolutely locking that one out. So beautiful stuff from Bleed. 5-2, as I said, but it could be a swing round if you look back at this and Bleed have got the win. You say, you know, was that the point that DarkZero was sort of broken a little bit? If we come in and they take Kitchen now and they 6-2 up, it's going to be a hell of a long climb back for DarkZero. I think the vertical is going to be particularly important for this. Wherever DarkZero play out in the map, if they choose to go all the way to top floor and hold on to both, if they just stick to the mid floor, whatever they want to do, they need to keep hold of what is above them.
I've got a question for you here as well, Titan, just curious. We see Bandit sometimes used as more of a roaming operator by some teams. With Rice on it in this round, 100% being used as more supportive and playing around site itself. But in what situations do you use a Bandit to be more aggressive out on the roam versus staying on site and playing support?
I mean, you'll find it normally a little bit in terms of a case of if you just want something that's a very easy operator that can move around quite freely with a C4 and you need to bring Wildenal, he's one of the best options, right, alongside Mute. Mute becoming a one-speed made Bandit sort of that more played operator, and actually, do you know what, it could be quite a good option. And it gives you this potential that if you want to start off site with him, then fall back, Bandit trick a wall somewhere in the middle of the round, it can just be so disruptive and annoying to teams. It's a small detail, but it's massive in terms of what it can actually bring in terms of value if the Bandit player is smart. Right now, DC, obviously, as you say, playing it on site, they're not looking to get much more value other than making sure that a bakery take is shut down.
And this whole comp feels very engineered around slowing down the side of Bleed. Denial on the site itself in the form of potentially the Solus and the Yokai drones coming out. The Fenrir and the Bandits try and keep things locked up and just keep Bleed at bay. It does feel much very like trying to line up a fort, but having that fullback defense of the Echo if you need it.
I'd be very interested to see what DZ say after this game, if they have deliberately brought these strats out to counter them. Because everything they've done is seemed deliberately to be, okay, that's picked. Turds with the opening kill onto Canadian, that's a Solace, that's a big pick again. They still have the Echo, and the time is starting to tick down. It is halfway through the round, and Hoven dies. Pamba gets another kill as well onto Asfi. That's big. They get the man advantage again.
It's a great response from DarkZero. As I said, they need to hold on to what they've got, essentially, and not give up that mid floor too soon. We're at 1 minute 15, and you can see that Bleed are still not confident. They know that Pamba's out there. They know they haven't dealt with this middle floor yet. You know, they're still opening up vertical angles from the top floor. That's not going to get you anything on Kitchen. And so DarkZero doing a great job of just delaying this. Pamba, he's even going for a retake up on the top floor.
So smart from him. He just tanks the damage a little bit, shoots one gridlock trap or track stinger, whatever you want to call it, and then he's managing to take top floor. Rice getting the pick onto Mentos, and that, again, is now where Bleed are going to struggle. And this is the thing. DZ have done their homework, clearly. They know the strats to play. They know what to be doing. A little bit contrary to how DZ normally play with their fullbacks, they stayed in fort. They made sure that they got their picks. And just those small adjustments with that experience. And this is the other thing.
Pamba
that
above.
Knowledge could just be so big. And yeah, as you say, Pambazu above. He can hold down prep. Oh, nade from Reaps. Never mind.
Got to work some real magic with this one. Uses that to try and charge on forward. He's ready for the vertical challenge, but Pamba, for some reason, didn't actually shoot him as he stepped on through there. Surely the time comes in, goes to the vertical challenge, and that is when the step up comes through. No assist being secured, I think, by Rice, but they've got the job done. Turd on a solo push through double doors with 4 players still to bring down. Will find himself one, gets to down quite literally. May as well stat pad a little bit, my friend. But this round is going the way of DZ. It's going to be 5 and 3, Tim.
Yeah, I think one thing that I would say for Bleed here, they've certainly, I think, overall, the better team so far. They are deserving of the lead they've got. But the longer this goes on, the more chance DarkZero have got of winning it, in my mind. I think, there's so much experience in that team, and I'm sure so much belief in their own ability, that the more they are able to rein Bleed in, to get back within touching distance, the more and more difficult it's going to get for Bleed. If really they want anything, they just want to get it done. I said this about loss on the last map that we saw on Oregon. It's, you know, great teams are the ones that are able to get 5-2, 5-3 and go on to win 7-2, 7-3 and not allow teams back at them. So Bleed, they need to be winning this next round for me. If DarkZero get another and it's 5-4 and all of a sudden there's only one round in it, that is warning signals.
This is one of those big rounds that we always talk about in a game, right? Either becomes 6-3 and a 3-round like deficit becomes too big to climb, or it's 5-4 and suddenly you're 1 round away from balancing out the scales and forcing things towards all 12 rounds of regulation. Now, I had a good bit of chat about this today. Actually, Maestro really not being a very popular operator these days. Leon said on Twitter, largely because Brava's become quite a thing these days, it just means that it's so powerful to have them hacked away that it's not worth risking to the other side. What's your take on that, Titan?
I mean, kind of, I suppose. It feels like a bit of a poor answer, though, realistically. I mean, what you're actually finding with it is there's BPs now that you got in the game, Valkyrie, Solace. I mean, Maestro is a 1-speed operator that can do some basic setup with it. Doesn't actually offer you that much anymore. Yeah, Brava can hack the cameras, but you've just got other operators that can bring you more. For example, Solace with a BP has 2 sets of info, then Legion with the tracked and the bulletproof. Why would you need to bring Maestro? Like, it's just not needed. But what you can see from DZ coming out here, mega execute based setup. They've obviously detected that Bleed is slow on this round. Now, whether this was preemptively done or whether this is something that Canadian has called for in the middle of the round or in the middle of the game, I'm not too sure. But they're playing so that they can make sure that that last 30 seconds, that last 40 seconds is so hard. And it's something that Bleed have struggled with a little bit in APAC. In APAC, when teams play so much utility, so much sort of stack on the bomb side, it's something that has caused some slight issues. They're really good against teams that give them a little bit of space or have 1 or 2 forms of plant now. But you've got Maestro, C4, Mira, Goyo, extra C4. You have a lot there that can deny, especially any pillars drop, laundry drop, whatever you want. It's going to be very, very hard for Bleed to win this round if they don't go quick.
Surtr and Reaps have been able to get themselves inside of Red Stairs so they can start building a bit of pressure directly towards site to try and move across that middle floor if they want to. Canadian is likely to be aware, though. He's got the cam there to tell him, and he's got the gun to do something about it. The Auda is going to be there not only to lock down that window, but also potentially the push from Red Stairs, and the drones coming in are going to be a dead giveaway for him. Hoven is able to start moving through, though, from pillars into that corridor. Canadians' days might be numbered here as Hoven and Mentalist get in, get a kill apiece, and that leaves us 4 versus 3.
We spoke a bit about that pace coming in here, Titan, and sure enough, Bleed have pulled that trigger around the 125 mark, have given themselves plenty of time to re-establish and reset here in the 3 versus 3. Still 60 seconds to play.
Gavin does so well to get the 2 picks there. The refrag onto the player inside the pillar, and then also the player top floor that would have been contested him. Getting those 2 picks now means, again, you don't have top floor control. If they're going to do this half clip, it makes it hard. He can retake. Has an impact still as well. He's got what he needs to be able to win the round for his team.
There's another important I was just going to say, another important factor is the fact that the diffuser was down cold on the ground. Mentalist has gone and collected that. 40 seconds left to go. All the pressure is coming in from Ords, like Train and Mining, but you just feel DarkZero are going to have a read on this, and it's going to give them a very one-dimensional push to deal with, and they're just holding the long angles. Pamba from reading, they've got one on White Stairs, just looking down the lens in towards Dining, and all they have to do is wait for Bleed to push. In comes the nade. Rice will be able to step forward after that one has gone. Pamba is going to be the key on the long angle, but Turd, he manages to pick up Gavene. Pamba, however, with the trade, and it's Rice. They're just holding them down from the long angles, but somehow Mentalist manages to fight his way in. Tries to bait out the push from Rice. There's 3 seconds to go. Can he find his man? No, Rice holds on, and that's going to be DarkZero bringing it back within 1.
Massive, because Rice have been, there's no real nice way to say this, but he's been a bit doubted a little bit this competition. He looks a little bit nervous, a little bit frightened of a lot of gunfights, and not only is it a good confidence builder for himself, it gets that crucial round 9 onto the side of DarkZero. They're 1 round away from catching up to Bleed, 1 round away from guaranteeing that we have to see all 12 in regulation. Bleed equally, probably a bit frustrated. They've lost that 1 versus 1 there. That was a chance to pull way far ahead of the NA team.
I think they'll have been really disappointed at this point here. 4v3, they still have the control, and then they don't get this here from Asfi. Losing that gunfight, he shouldn't be losing that in any day of the week, and losing that has really, really hurt his team.
Let's go! Keep it up, boy.
A little bit of Troy, don't we?
We certainly do. Just hyping the team up there, and the energy on DarkZero just starting to rise a little bit, which I think can only be a good thing for them. Now within 1 round, I think they know that this is possible, and Bleed are certainly going to be feeling the heat on the back of their neck, I think, as DarkZero are certainly starting to breathe down it.
I'm a tiny bit concerned for DZ. Even though they have got a couple rounds in a row now, they're starting to build momentum again. They're not looking great as a team strategically. It's very much as individuals having huge rounds. Gavin getting 2 there, Rice winning his 1v1. Previous round as well, it's a big round. It's big plays by really talented players, which is why you get them. But at the same time, it does mean that in the long haul, if this does go longer, Bleed surprisingly like a better team right now, and Rice taking a load of damage there on smoke.
Yeah, ouch.
Yeah.
This early in the round as well. Has to be a little bit careful now at where he chooses to place himself. A little edge of a grenade could be enough, or a stray bullet would be enough to put him out of his misery, and 3 smokes would disappear into thin air.
So it certainly needs to keep himself active until that utility has been used. So Pamba shaping for a jump out. He's going to go for it, but no! Hoban is locked, loaded and ready, but they double up on it. Gavini goes out there as well and manages to get the trade. That's 4v4 now, and the Brava off the board. That could be a big loss of utility.
I mean, DZ played for that. They did the same setup as what they did in the previous round. They look like they're faking, they're pretending to hold top floor. They hold it very lightly, but rather than what they did previously where they fell back, they go for the aggressive play. They're like, right, stop this. We know this guy is there by himself at the start of the round. Let's get this kill. Even if we go 1-for-1, it's fine. At least we're setting the tempo on our sort of like basis, not on how Bleed wants to play.
There's enough at least to get to what the initial kill coming in. Instead, the Brava being taken away to take away a couple of those drones. Means the Yokais are quite free to now roam around the map, knowing they won't be snatched up by those, well, drone capturing drones, is the only way I can describe it. Robot wars will be in full effect, but not quite in this round. And speaking of drones, we've got some much fatter boys now charging through this top floor. It's the Ram opening up pretty much everything on that top floor.
Yeah, going to make it difficult for DarkZero to play too directly on site, but you can see that they've pretty much dropped away. They're holding their positions elsewhere, a couple of them in dining and roundabout pillars as well. They're just waiting for this push to come through. They're out in reading, just watching those verticals. They do, of course, work both ways, and that's something that Bleed need to be aware of. Coming into the final minute, they haven't really had too much joy from those verticals, and they're going to have to start dropping down towards site pretty soon.
They're going for the same plant again. The problem is DZ now have the Echo and they have Canadian below. They should have enough plant down. I think he's got both Echo drones alive, and they're going to then go for this retake into the bomb site. Mentalist going downstairs. Does he know about the Echo? Has he read this well? If he has and he gets this pick, it could be massive and game-changing.
But he's got to find him is the problem, right?
That is
and
true.
He's got some way to go. It's the only thing I could say. But if they know there's an Echo on side, fair chance he's not going to be sat on site.
But he's going for him. They might think that it's actually a flank that's inbound rather than an actual Echo itself. And there you go. There's the Echo cam. He doesn't even need to stun. Gavin managed to retake pillar.
That's, you know, the key there. He hasn't had to use the stun, so maybe that information doesn't go back. You know, this is where the Yokai is. Reese somehow takes down Gavini, but NJR and Rice are there to turn the tide once again. 3 versus 1. Mentalist, nothing he can do. And DarkZero, they're going to guarantee us 12. They get themselves level on 5-5.
Massive fumble again from another team that cannot play vertical, that cannot hold pillars. It's simple. If you're attacking mining and you're going for there, hold on to pillars, people. Hold on to pillars. Oh, dear.
Understandably, Bleed a timeout. It's about time they brought this one in now that everything's been pulled square, and as Ace said, you will see all 12 rounds of regulation in this game, potentially overtime if things carry on the way that they have so far. A frustrating one, I imagine, for Bleed as well, because again, at parts in that round, things are looking pretty strong for them, but just fumble the bag when it comes round to the end.
As I say, I will repeat again, the longer this one goes on, the more I feel that it favours DarkZero. You know, they've now got a good few rounds chained together. That's 3 in a row, and Bleed are starting to ask themselves questions. You know, is there a successful defence here? Yeah, they might have gone 5-1 on their half, but they're staring down the barrel of DarkZero saying, we can go one better. We're going to go 6-0 here. You know, we're going to really come in and take this one away from you. DarkZero really having the answers on defence at the minute.
I'm a little concerned with the way that Bleed looked there at the end of that timeout. They didn't look happy. They didn't look like they were sort of like talking. It very much felt like probably Bruce was the one doing every single thing that they needed. Maybe Mentalist had a word or two with them, but you can see it on the faces of a couple of players. You can look at on Astley. He looks a bit concerned. Turd looks annoyed almost to an extent. And it's like, once you start to get that, you're not out the game. It's 5-5, boys. Yeah. But once you got that in there, yeah, it's hard.
Mental sticks a lot through these games. I mean, Turd really shouldn't be too frustrated. He's found himself with double digits, the only player on his team so far to achieve so. Mentalist and Reach not too far behind on that regard. And Tim, what's your favourite site in the game for round 11? This could be one that Bleed could snatch away.
Well, let's see if they can hold on to it. So far, DarkZero have not tried. It's all been mining, kitchen, and reading. They're going to head up to the top floor. It could be their undoing. It was the site that DarkZero were able to win on the attack.
I feel like I'm stepping back about 2 years. We've got Ash and Zofia on the same side, along with the Sledge, Thatcher, and Hibana coming into the top floor of Kafe. This feels like the Mets of what, 2.5 years ago, potentially?
It kind of is, and it's what I said. They take so much with the piano takes. They do their east side pressure very late in the round. But if you look at this whole setup, I'm pretty sure DZ have a mirror window, I think it was planks or like freezer side, and they have another one inside a bathroom, I believe it is. Like, if you have both of those, you need to be contesting teams.
Come on now,
you need to be able to fight them. But it just doesn't feel... No, they've actually got two... Is that two passive mirror windows? I can't quite tell there if Gavin's on one as well. I think he is. So they're giving piano control with just a B2 hold, which is why Pamber is on the dock, so that he can fight it, he can keep going. Bleed should be looking to get this as their opening pick. You get a guy on the benches window, you get a guy on your pianos window, you get a guy on your right window, guy on the cocktail window, do all your utility, bang, 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 boom, goodbye, sort of sweet prince, and good night. But instead, Bleed, they're taking their steps, they're taking their time, they're trying to go through piano. It's just...
As you say, certainly a lack of pressure on that east side, which is something that we've become so familiar with, really. At Tier 1 Siege has been that pressure onto Cocktail, but no, DarkZero, they're pretty comfortable being able to just sit still in their spots and wait for Bleed to make a move here, which is still drawn in, which is still not in piano, which is still not having dropped hatches, and we're halfway through the round.
I mean, the worst thing here is, yeah, I get there's a mirror window in Cocktail that sees you inside a piano, but the B2 player has fallen back, for goodness sake. Take the ground. It was already 15 seconds ago. We're going on 20 seconds ago that he left. Do something, Bleed. Please, move it along. Reaps, what are you doing? Hello, come on, guys. Move along.
At this point, probably just a bit stuck, and I think nervous maybe without the white window support they didn't have for the longest time. Hoven has just moved over, and it's making sure that white corridor and bathroom, one, are 100% clear, and two, able for the attackers to push up. But they look so nervous at this mirror window inside of storage and the threat it puts into piano that no one wants to step foot inside of there.
Now they've got the east side pressure going, but it's so late in the round, and they've got nobody on the heaven window. It's all on the cocktail window, and there you go. Boom, it's gone. Rice ready with the C4, peeking into a mirror window. Reach gets one back, though.
They just knew that that mirror window was a threat, and they didn't want to push in, which is why they were being so careful about it, but just letting slip at the very last second here. Look, I was about to say, it looks good for DarkZero, but Rice has been taken out here. Turd's on the march.
He's just going to be pushing through, looking to get himself through bar back storage, and he's just cutting sight in half at the minute. DarkZero are scrambling a little bit. We've got Canadian relocating. Gavani looking to take the fight from Cocktail, but cannot win it as Asfi manages to find him. 3 versus 2 at the minute. Bleed continue to push Canadian. He's got the red pings, he's got the information. He's trying to work his way back in, but Asfi, he's going to be getting this diffuser down inside a Cocktail. This is going to end up being a very tough retake for DarkZero.
What are you doing? Turd went below, and Canadian hasn't pushed. DZ had the chance there to retake the entire bomb site, and they didn't go for it. They're so scared of their own mirror windows, they lost the control. What was really nice, Bleed went for a white execute. They changed that up in the mid-round. They realized what they could do with the piano. They realized they were going to be a bit slow. They go for a white execute. But now, post-bomb, 3v2.
And what I love was Turd dropped down immediately because they expected Canadians to come, but he simply didn't arrive. Juicing him up here as well to try and get away with it. Turd coming in for the swing here as well. One on the window, but he's up nice and close. Bleed find what they need. Up to 6 and 5 they go. It's match point and a spot at our live finals on Friday here. DZ have got to work some magic.
It's the SEA Super Team taking it against one of NA's great hopes. And currently, they're 1 round away. 1 round.
Such a big round for Bleed, realistically. Not only did they get themselves onto match point, they also cut short that momentum that DarkZero were building. That's 3 rounds in a row that they've just ended by getting that one locked in. We're going to see round 12 as a guarantee. We might even have a little bit of extras on this one. A little bit of dessert to come. We will see how this next round goes, but it's just so back and forth at the minute. DarkZero have a good couple of rounds and look dominant, and then all of a sudden Bleed just bounced back, and it looks like we're back in the first half again when Bleed were in complete command. And we're going to find out who the winner of this one, or potentially whether we get overtime, down in the kitchen.
Got to give a big shout out to Turd and Asfi there. They are the players that push at white that really opened that round up for them, because Rice was an absolute truck. Stood on Lumber behind the mirror window, getting the 2 kills that he had, being able to plant his feet, lock down all the piano, but it was just enough that he was distracted by the east window repel on Cocktail, just to let Turd slip in towards white and work his way up to Lumber and break that whole thing wide open. Without those 2 kills, I don't think they managed to get a plant there inside of Cocktail. Cocktail. So it was really good play off the back of those two especially. DarkZero, again, have got it all against them here. They're going for a very similar strategy to last time they played this site. The Denial of Rise plus the Yokais coming out from someone else on the team, along with Canadian off on the roam on this Solus. Bleed have been a bit slow at points. It's really strangled them out, and we've seen a very kind of weak ending to a round. It's on them to change here and deal with, again, what looks like a very similar setup.
This feels really painful watching this, because if Bleed just decided to not go for their default, which is full clearing them out, they droned the first floor, they would see that on the ground floor, in the basement, there's very, very little to stop them. Yes, they've got Fenris, but you've got a Twitch on the board. Go clear these, go deal with that. Oh. And here we go, the jump out. Oh,
no. I thought for a second he hadn't finished off Hogan as well, which would have been a real stinger. Mentalist in the right sort of spot, though, at least to get the trade coming on through. Canadian has finally pushed out and found himself Reitz, who had just come in through red. The trigger of the Guman enough to feed him the information. DZ a man up here, make it 2. It feels like we're heading towards those magic words, Tim.
Certainly could be. We've got 2 minutes left in the round, so we're likely to see things slow down a little bit as Bleed will look to just reassess and see what they can find. You've got 3 drones remaining, so not really a lot of information to go on either. It's going to be tough for them to locate exactly where these defenders are positioned, and it might be a case of just trying to go a bit route 1 towards site, really.
They forgot about Canadian upstairs again. He managed to go, he was starting to go down the stairs and went back up, and so he's got this little flank going here, so he should be able to close out the round for himself, even though DZ should be able to hold it with a 3v2 on the bottom side. But what's so disappointing, I said earlier, Bleed just don't seem to be reacting in the round to see what's actually there available for them. They're just sticking to their plans, going and going and going. And it's almost like they're saying they must recognize that DZ are countering them, and they're just going, well, we're going to have to accept the counter, isn't it, boys?
Certainly working with all the time that they've got available to them here. I believe they're applying those track stingers out to the stairs. They're trying to get anything going, find anybody that they can. It's going to ultimately come down to a push into site, because this is where DarkZero will thrive. They are the experienced team. They know not to overpeak this. They know not to take those fights that they just don't need to. Asui's ready. He's poised, ready to go. Turd moves in. Can they get the kill on the man? 1 versus 3. They're going to try and move through. This is unlikely for Asfi, though. He's just looking for kill after kill. That Fenrir Gadget is just going to take his sight away for the time being, and as he moves back in, it could well be the same thing, and he sees 1. Can't find any shots onto him. 15 seconds left to go. DarkZero happy to just let this one tick by a second at a time. Asfi, he's got to go now. He's got to move, but without vision, he's got nothing to go on, and Des, we're going to overtime.
You forgot someone's name in that, Tim.
Des and Titan, we're going to overtime.
Thank you very much, Tim. We are indeed as well. Out of these 3, we expected maybe the last one to be the one going through there, but Lost stealing it away in round 12. I think I'm with you. Just Bleed, when that mid-round sort of play is just where they really start to lack. And what I love was the discipline from DarkZero at the very end there. I think you saw the expectation coming in from Bleed that there would be a swing coming out in small bake, but instead they just plant their feet, they hold the trade around prep and around backside. You have still Canadian playing upstairs to Denial. They aren't giving anything to Bleed. They aren't falling into the potential, oh, I could get a kill here. Everything is just them playing super lined up as a team.
Yep. I mean, DZ now on the attack half. This will be interesting. It's been a defender-sided Kafe. Bleed have got a little advantage here going on the defense side. But do they? The problem is, in overtime, sometimes you actually prefer to have that attack half. You've now attacked every bomb site like twice.
The defenders have had the advantage in terms of the scoring. It's been 4-2 halves, so we'll see whether they can take advantage from that in the final 3.
Something I like to highlight is just Rice's performance this map. You mentioned it earlier, Des. He's not been given the greatest praise. He's been getting a lot of critique from basically every single corner of the world right now about his performances at this major. But he's stepping up in this game. He's had some big rounds for his team. He's 11-7 right now. He's the second best performer on the team behind Pamba. And he's making up for sort of like the previous games. And I think it's in moments like this where when you need to be counted, you can actually show your real talent. Good to see him playing well.
If at this point forward he's fully switched on, they make it to main stage, and he's playing at this kind of level after having a slow start, no one is going to complain.
Yeah.
Could yet build himself into being the hero here. He gets him through to main stage of a performance like this, 0 complaints at all. But it's come down to the active play that he's had, like the Miro playing on Lumber, for example. The C4 on's Cocktail, the spin on towards Piano and getting a couple of kills off the back of that. Beautiful stuff.
A little bit of a risk from DarkZero here. They brought them on too long again for the bakery push. We've seen them try this already and it hasn't worked out. So DarkZero obviously coming in confident in their game, feeling that they can get it done, but they're going to have to deal with threats like that mid-floor that they didn't last time around. They were hurt from above, and it doesn't look like they're going to be pushing in and looking to clear that. So again, it's going to be fairly route one in behind that big shieldy boy to try and get that diffuser down. Canadian is going to have to keep himself alive this time.
I suspect this is going to be a slightly slower round, and what you're going to find is Gavin is going to use the Thatcher devices to try and get rid of the Echo drones in the middle of the round, so that when Canadian pushes deep, he can't get stunned and he can get a bomb down. And they're going to hope that they can avoid Hoban seeing it. You notice how far back and small Canadian was. Yes, he was droning, but he's also trying to not let them know about the Monty. They're trying to make them think that it's a little bit different. It might just be a basic bakery take without that extra added pressure.
Well, now
they've spotted it.
The question is as well about the vertical play above. I'm pretty sure, again, like,
Hoban!
This, again, has been the case where twice they've gone laterally in towards site. And I saw him and I was like, oh, I'm sure they know about the vertical. It can't be that a big a problem. They'll be careful. And then Canadian walks straight into their line of sight. It's a bit late to scramble for the top floor now, boys. They've already done the damage.
This is the thing. They don't seem to be reacting quickly enough at DZ in some of these rounds, especially this basement round. And again, here we go. 1 minute left. Bleed have control of everything that they want. They have top floor control if they want it. They have site control if they need it, with the operator lineups as well. DZ can't find a gap right now, so they're going to have to force one. They're going to have to make one. Somebody is going to have to go big in this round.
Just everybody holding angles at the moment. Somebody's going to have to give somewhere, and it's going to have to be DarkZero, because if that continues, it will be Bleed that come away with the win. Gavani gets aggressive, goes in, manages to pick up Astri. That is a good start to this late round push from DarkZero. 30 seconds left to go. Pamba tries to find one inside a site, but can't. He's aware of red stairs. DarkZero need to get in there and need to get that diffuser recovered.
And you've still got Turd playing off towards the side as well, who can do real damage here. If he's ignored, he can swing out onto red and easily pick up 2, if not 3 players. You've also got Reach coming in, potentially a double flank at the ready.
Oh my god, they don't know that they push into the bomb site, but they're getting the trades back now. But Rice has got another pick, and they've got the entire backside control. Diffuser is down though. Hoban has the diffuser on the bomb. Pambazu has managed to pick it up. They cannot deny that. Hoban with a smoke. Can he get it on? No! DC's going to win this round. There's no way!
The smoke's coming down. It's going to start choking them both out here. They could both go down if not careful. They find one on the way on through, and Hoban finds a second. He's got to find Gavani though, who's down in sight. He's on the bunker. But the problem is, I doubt Hoban even knows about this one.
What a finish this could be. He's just looking, seeking, trying to find his man. Takes out a little vertical hole, but he's not going to be able to.
Time,
the time is coming that you just have to go. You just have to head downstairs and hope that you can react faster. Scavani, smart move, gets himself into freezer while he has the opportunity. It just adds another 5 seconds onto things for Hoban to try and find him. He's searching, seeking, but cannot find his man. He's got about 3 seconds to get this kill. There's no chance this tracks fingers. He has to stick this, and Gavani has surely won this one. Job done. Hoban can get the kill all he wants, but it's going to be absolutely meaningless as DarkZero pick up the round.
I spoke of a hero play. I spoke of somebody needing to take the round in front of them. And to be honest, it was 2 players. Gavin with a killing co, and then Rice on the bomb site at the backside, killing everybody there. Hoban gets the diffuser down with Canadian. They managed to reclaim it. They managed to start planting. But what are the players on site doing? And the biggest question I have, and it sounds terrible, Turd, who's been playing great, he's just hiding inside of Whiskey Bar. Peek the red hole, you've got 2 free kills. And the result of that, his team loses bomb site control.
And you had Reach coming down red at the same time. There was such an easy 2-man swing coming in there at the same time that just it didn't come to be. Like you say, you saw Turd still sat still for the longest time. I've got to go and levy a little bit of criticism at DZ there. We said at about 120, 130. Okay, then cool. Like now we're in a standstill. You've lost your Monty. What happens next? It took them 45 to 50 seconds to make that play on front door. And sure, there's a piece around rotating players around there, but 50 seconds? If Hoban gets a down, for example, or Smoke comes into a bad spot, they haven't got time in the execute to relocate, so they really were running things down to the wire. I know patient and slow is their play style. I know that it's worked success for them up to this point, and they're at 7 and 6, but they are leaving things so tight that literally a single bullet can be the difference between them winning a round or not when they leave it to the very dying seconds.
I'm curious, they've gone for mining of DZ, which is a bomb site to Bleed. Yes, they won once, they lost one, but they've looked more accomplished on it. I'm surprised they didn't go Kitchen. Kitchen should have been the play, in my opinion. They've absolutely shut them down twice in a row. But something DZ probably spotted, something they feel they can add as a tweak. There must be. Otherwise, you don't go here. But for Bleed, it's what can they do? Because if they're going to do the same again, DZ have the counters. We know about the Echo. They brought the Cade now to make sure the hatches try to stay close.
a real critical one is they've actually reinforced off the single wall that we've seen Bleed work their way through every single time. The one halfway up red has been reinforced this round.
It's an excellent little counter. And now, whilst they can still get the hatch and piano open with Decade and the one in reading, it's going to take them a bit more time and it's going to be a bit more annoying and it could be finicky. And if they start wasting pellets on that and also needing to open up the new the mining wall that you've said that's been reinforced, it's just going to take time out of Bleed's game. And Bleed aren't the quickest on this bomb site.
No, Pamba not having the best time on the source in terms of the drones. He's he's got other functions that he's going to be looking to carry out as well, but he's only managed to take 2 of them down. So still plenty of information to Bleed to work from when trying to sweep across this top floor. DarkZero still pretty locked deep into Cocktail for the time being. Pamba still sort of just bouncing up and down those white stairs. Reaps almost finds his man. It's going to be Astrid as he pushes him into his line of sight, picks up Gavini, and that's going to leave us 5 versus 4 as Bleed start this top floor clearance with a good first kill. They've no idea. They've absolutely no idea. Pamba walks into Holden, who gets a double 5v2 now.
Almost made it 3 in a row, and that would have been round done and dusted. GG all the way to 15.
I love the fact that Hoven just did that. It's earlier like we saw with the W7M game. You just got to take it sometimes. You've got to grab the round by the ropes and just go for it, and he did right there. Mentalist now in the bomb site. Can get the bomb down. Planting on hard floor. Where is Canadian? Where are the Echo drones? Echo drones are nowhere to be seen. Astrid gets the pick. It's a 4v1, and it's round over. We're going
all the way to 15.
Thank you, Tim. That's what I wanted. You almost stole his line there. That's like
I know, I had to stop myself there. I had to go, oi, that's yours.
You steal away.
I would go, oi.
Wow. I mean, wow. What a game we've had between these two. I'll give it to you, Titan. You said at the very start, tight game expected, like couldn't really call which way it would go. It's coming literally down to the wire, the very last round, for one of these teams to take that spot in the live final starting on Friday. The other will go 2-2 here in the Swiss stage and have to play a best of 3 tomorrow to determine if they go home and miss the live finals or make it alongside our other teams.
You said when you were coming into the cast, Titan, that you wanted at least one of the games that would be absolute chaos with us, that would be a classic Des and Ace 15 rounder. Well,
absolutely.
You've got it. It's been back and forward like it's on an elastic band as this one, as to who's going to walk away with it. DarkZero 7, Bleed 7, and the winner will go through to our live stage here in Atlanta. So there is an awful lot on the line. It's going to be a final round for Bleed to defend, and they're in reading.
What a choice of a bomb site. I said it earlier about mining. I said, did DZ mess up? Because it was the one site that Bleed looked confident on. Clearly they did. They were able to take it. And I asked the same question again here. Is this the best choice from Bleed? It could come down to a very late round. DZ, what can they do? Can they be quick? Because if this goes down to the last 10 seconds, I'm not sure they got this.
I mean, Turb with the mega backstab last time coming up from basement.
That's all that won it for them. Well, it wasn't. They were in a decent position.
It was on the Solus as well, whereas here he's playing on the Fenrir, so it's much more about the denial with the lineup that they've got here. I imagine quite aggressively wanting to try and hold on to this top floor, and nothing particularly special brought along by DarkZero. No tricks or cheesy plays or rushes or anything of the sort. Just a good old round of siege to see who wins this one.
The real beauty of this round 15, you know, obviously it's always a close game when you get to round 15, but sometimes you'll have a team that's had a little bit of momentum, come back into it, and you think, yeah, they're the obvious favourites still. They're the clear, you know, in a clear advantageous position, but this just isn't the case. This really, truly is one of those games that's just absolute toss of a coin. Both of them within the last few rounds have had great rounds, they've had bad rounds, and either of them could walk away with this one. It is so tight. NJR just going to be watching for anybody giving a peek out of that white stairs window.
They're really trying to bait the jump outs as well. Just kind of started the rappel, immediately got off, looked towards the window, expecting that Bleed would be at it, but Bleed simply are not biting, playing much more defensive again, given the lineup because they've got on this team. They don't want to try and play as aggressively as they have done historically. And this is where, air quotes, the less experienced teams sometimes fall foul, is they'll try and play so safe in that last round, despite that not being what's worked in previous rounds.
Mentalist has found his way into Pillars, and I don't know if Pamba knows about him. Canadian's about to drain him here, but if he can get away, then it's a big fake. If not, and he gets the kill with Pamba on 1 HP. Where did? Oh, no way! What are Bleed doing? They're throwing this game. No.
Damn. down to just 2. And Turd, surprisingly, shock horror, is still in the basement. Him and Reaps have been massive, playing off the back of each other throughout a lot of this game, but now they've got to do it against 4 DZ members.
I think Pamba was as surprised as anybody there. He went over the top rope, got himself a couple of kills, finds himself 1 HP and manages to just launch himself out of a window to safety. Reaps is desperately looking for that nitro out of the window.
He wants
but
at least one this game.
And not going to give it to him. 4 versus 2. Pamba is going to flash himself, but it's not going to matter too much. Nobody's there in a position to challenge. And DarkZero are like this. They've not got carried away with that mid-round period. They've taken the foot off the gas. They've had a look back, and they're now waiting for their opportunity.
Reaps has got to work some real magic here. That C4 not quite the one. So much stacked up inside a cocktail. They must know about making this play. They're dropping in quick, and they've got the read. It's down to Reaps all by himself to deal with the onslaught of DZ. In towards site they go. One more coming down white. They know exactly where he is. They've got the 2v1, and DZ are making it through to our live finals.
What a round. What a game, honestly.
Yep.
DZ showed at the end there its experience over everything else. And in those overtime rounds, both teams, I don't think they really knew what they wanted to play. And again, you can see it with the defense half. It was a defense side map, and I said to you earlier, it can sometimes be the team that has attack in overtime that can actually give you the advantage. And DZ proved the point exactly right there.
DarkZero then will get themselves through to the live stage here in Atlanta. What a great, resilient performance from them to get themselves through to that point. I said, as time went on, you felt that they were the more likely team to win. Just that experience and that resolve coming through to the service and getting them the win. It was hard fought by Bleed. They deserve every bit of credit they get, and what an entertaining game that's been.
I feel for Turd as well, because he's had a massive game. And to be fair, several members of the team have, like, it's not even down to them not playing great. I honestly think, like Rice, for example, best game we've seen from him all tournament long. And what a time to have a performance like that. It really comes down to the war. And you look at when we got to the end of play-ins, for example, you know, the last couple of games we had, those final 2 best-of-3s came down to round 15 of map 3. In both of them, we've been so close to so many upsets in this tournament, but in the last round, when it counts the most, experience seems to win every time.
Absolutely. And just a final point, it shows you don't need to have a crazy amount of kills to win the game. If you look at DZ's scoreline, so many players negative. Only 2 guys that managed to go big on them. One being Rice, the other one being Pamba. And then you look at Bleed, such an equal performance, but just not quite enough.
Still plenty more to come from these boys, and hopefully we see them have a big showing tomorrow. Titan, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
But we are all done and wrapped up. Over to desk we go for an interview.
Yeah, you're goddamn right, ladies and gentlemen. DarkZero have qualified for their 6th main stage in org history, and it came off the back of yet another overtime dub. Troy, for the love of God, can we stop going to overtime, dude?
I don't know if we can. I've been doing this for years. I mean,
you said
the way it goes.
You said it the other day. You love it the most when it's these kind of games.
That's
so
true.
I mean, I guess you really do love it. You've been showing it left and right throughout this.
It feels like if you need to win by a landslide, can't do it. If you only have to win by 1 round, totally fine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But I mean, yeah, like blowouts aren't as fun. Blowouts aren't as fun either way.
I can agree, whether you're on the receiving end or the end giving.
You play 15 rounds, you get your blood pumping for a full hour and a half. That's not bad.
It makes you feel like you earned it.
Yeah, for sure. I respect that, definitely. Well, my question to you is, so obviously Bleed were running away with a few of those rounds in the beginning. Tell me kind of what was going on. Like, what were the comms like? What was the communication overall that started seeing that rise from you guys and start clawing back at those rounds?
I think getting onto defense made us a bit more comfortable. We've also always been a team that kind of starts slow. But honestly, like, so many attacks we felt in control of. We had a lot of miscomms on our attacks. A lot of things were missed. A lot of people panicking. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big match, you know, like Gav and Jay both haven't played on main stage before.
True.
You know, so it's a big game to make that happen. So I can understand some nerves. Thankfully, you know, hopefully just getting that out of the way there, because we still won regardless of it.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, there was like a lot of miscomms and stuff, and we ended up stumbling on our late rounds in the attack because of it. You know, we got all the control we wanted. We knew what we wanted to do, but just kind of stumbled. Also, full credit to Bleed, because
of course,
like they're players that are incredibly talented, and they're, you know, contesting our executes in the right ways and making it difficult on us. So yeah, all the credit to them as well.
Talk to me about the Kafe pick, because you guys had the option between that or Bank, and you went for the Kafe. What went into that pick?
I mean, I think anyone that kind of reviews the game knows we like both those maps.
Sure.
I think Bleed likes them as well. We kind of knew that coming in. And just, we haven't showed Kafe here. We also scrimmed them on bank when we got here.
Okay, yep.
We did not scrim them on Kafe, so that was also part of it. And honestly, from reviewing, we honestly thought their bank looked better than their Kafe.
Okay.
And their Kafe was definitely better than I expected.
Didn't want to risk it. I get you. Yeah.
For sure. Well, I got another question. So I heard you say in that one clutch round, you saying, I'm the best on cams, or I'm the best when I'm not alive. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? What were you giving your team during that?
I mean, I made a meathead move and got myself killed on Monty.
Okay.
So I'm sure I'm getting roasted for that. But I did that, but then I was just sitting on cams calling all the rotations, the utility to throw, who to target.
Do you guys still have that play style? Because this was an old DZ thing that I learned even from Sky, is that you guys give the communication to someone that is best at calling and setting up those rotations for people, or you guys still just give it all around?
I mean, everyone has it. I definitely kind of get priority.
Okay.
Like if I'm on a cam,
Right.
we let me call in the cam.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, everyone does it. But yeah, just calling the rotations, because our initial plan to plant with the Montaigne obviously fell apart as soon as Montaigne died. So started isolating picks to work it back. We called to isolate the coat guy. And then it took a little bit for us to rotate to get there, but we all rotated, got the kill on the coat guy, and then we're like, okay, now reset, and then we're gonna push execute on the site guy. Push and executed, got down to a 3v1, got case.
Yep.
And then had the fiasco with the smoke in the window. Holy, I was having nightmares. Oh my God.
Last question before we let you go. It wouldn't be a North American event without you making main stage, so congratulations on that. But I've been asking this to everybody so far. It's a couple days until you actually have to play your first game on Friday. What are you going to do to stay fresh?
I mean, we're going to watch some Siege. I'm sure we're going to play some Siege. We're going to think about Siege, talk about Siege. Yeah. I mean, whether I'm in the tournament or not, I love watching Siege.
Sure.
I love watching the tournament, so I'm going to be sitting there watching all these games. The best of threes are crazy. The best of threes last night were crazy. We were going crazy in the room, rooting for Bibu to get his kills, all that.
Well, what are you doing tonight? Sorry, I know that was the last question. But what are you doing tonight now that you secured it? Maybe the hot tub, maybe the gym.
We might hit a team dinner. I hit the gym in the morning.
Okay.
I always hit the gym in the morning.
Not the 2 a.m. plunge that call-out's doing, right?
No,
Okay.
none of that. None of that. I think they're going a little overboard.
Okay,
But
that's fair.
All right, well,
that's just me.
tonight's plans notwithstanding, it's obviously a massive deal for a North American team to be there in the playoffs of a North American major. Troy, again, congratulations. We will see you guys this weekend. And as far as this game is concerned, Fox, I don't remember if you had a bleed or a DZ around on the telestrator, but whatever you've got, walk us through it.
I forgot I was even doing this. You guys were having a great time on the desk. I thought I was just watching the stream, but I want to show you guys an amazing round that Bleed had on attack. Obviously, it showcases their critical thinking. I know they lost, but this was still a beautiful round nonetheless. The bomb site is going to be mining and dining, and obviously, look at the positioning that Bleed has of the top floor. Let's pay attention to these top holes that will be used later on to get rid of Rice. Now, as for the top itself, we're going to have two teams coming out from Bleed. We're going to have Reaps and Asfi, who are going to be going for the plant while Reaps covers over, and we're going to have the Hatch team. The Hatch team are going to focus on throwing flashes at NJR and dining to prevent him from pushing up, throwing a C4, or potentially affecting Asfi in any way. And then the best part, in my opinion, is Mentalist is going to rotate to the holes that I want you guys to focus on because it's going to be used later. Once they go for the plant, the only thing they have to worry about is the Solus from below. But fortunately for them, Asfi picks the one spot that the Solus cannot affect from below. So what does DZ do? They go in panic mode. DZ is going to send Pamba up top red to deal with it, and Rice is going to come through 90 to potentially stop the plant before it goes down. But unfortunately for those guys, it looks like Reaps and Mentalist from above, the holes I was telling you to watch, they're going to shut down both Pamba and Rice. Now if you're DZ, okay, stage 2, we have to retake somehow. So you're going to see the same thing, part 2. Canadian is going to come up from below, top red, and Gavini is, again, this similar angle that Rice was playing on, while NJR tries to attempt to fight Train. Fortunately for DZ, NJR hits the impossible shot on the Hatch guy. Unfortunately for DZ, the other two players shortly die. But even in this situation that NJR is in, it's almost an unwinnable clutch situation with the holes from above. Even if he was able to get 1 or 2, the post plant would have been too strong. And look, Mentalist is still up there on the holes that, in my opinion, won them this round. But there's a lot more Siege to be played, and we'll be right back.